What if I told you that behind the velvet curtains of power, behind every war, financial collapse, and political upheaval, lies a shadowy force, hidden in plain sight? You've seen their symbols, the square and compass, the all-seeing eye, the twin pillars. You walked past them on buildings, touched them on your dollar bills, and even watched them flash across the screen in music videos and blockbuster films. But few dare to ask who placed them there, and why. For centuries, Freemasonry has been publicly known as a benevolent fraternity, a charitable order of wise men dedicated to brotherhood and virtue. But is this merely a mask? According to ex-Masons, whistleblowers, and a library of suppressed documents, the truth may be far darker and more dangerous than we've been led to believe. John Robison, in his 1798 Exposé Proofs of a Conspiracy, warned of an association that stretches across nations, working in silence, with symbols and rituals concealing their true aims. He wasn't alone. Abbé Berulle, a former Jesuit priest, wrote in memoirs illustrating the history of Jacobinism that Freemasonry was infiltrated by the Illuminati to serve a much grander purpose: global control. This isn't just history, it's the blueprint of a shadow empire. And if you think this is just coincidence, keep watching, because what comes next will make you question everything. If you like historical mysteries, please subscribe to the channel. According to Masonic tradition, Freemasonry is rooted in the craft guilds of medieval stonemasons, with allegorical lessons drawn from the building of Solomon's Temple. Their official line? That it's about personal growth, moral uprightness, and fraternal bonds. Nothing more. But if that's the case, why the secrecy? Why the labyrinth of degrees, rituals cloaked in symbolism, oaths sealed with threats of death, and lodges filled with judges, bankers, politicians, and heads of state? Albert Pike, one of the most revered Masonic authors, wrote in Morals and Dogma that Masonry conceals its secrets from all except the adepts and sages or the elect. And more chillingly, the blue degrees are but the outer court. Part of the symbols are displayed there to the initiate, but he is intentionally missiled by false interpretations. False interpretations, missiled on purpose. Why would an organization, supposedly about virtue, want to deceive even its own members? In The New World Order, author Ralph Epperson suggests the answer is simple. Freemasonry is not interested in building character, but in building empires. It is the vehicle through which the elite control the world, under the guise of fraternity. It's time to peer beyond the curtain, because this so-called brotherhood may be a Trojan horse for something far more sinister. Not all Masons are created equal. Most initiates never rise beyond the first 3 degrees: entered apprentice, fellow craft, and master mason. These are the Blue Lodge degrees, accessible to the public. But beyond them lie 30 more levels in the Scottish Rite, culminating in the enigmatic 33rd degree. And it is there, some claim, where the real secrets are revealed. According to elite testimonies and writings, the higher the degree, the more veiled the truth becomes. It's a system of compartmentalization. Knowledge is revealed only as needed, and even within the higher echelons, few know the full scope of the agenda. Ex-Masons have spoken of strange rituals in dark temples, oaths sworn before altars bearing skulls, and teachings that suggest an inversion of light and dark, good and evil. Albert Pike, again, becomes central to the mystery. In a quote attributed, though highly disputed, to a letter sent to Italian Mason Giuseppe Mazzini in the 1800s, Pike allegedly wrote, "We shall unleash the nihilists and the atheists. We shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm. Then everywhere, the citizens, obliged to defend themselves, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer." Is this quote real? Or part of the elaborate mythology around Freemasonry? That's the genius of it all: plausible deniability. Deny, discredit, distract. But ask yourself, why do so many world leaders, judges, and corporate tycoons belong to an organization structured like a pyramid, obsessed with secrecy, and ending in a capstone very few ever reach? And more importantly, who sits at the top? Follow the money. Always. Throughout history, Freemasonry has been linked, covertly and overtly, to some of the most powerful banking dynasties in the world. The Rothschilds, Rockefellers, Morgans, families whose fortunes shaped the modern financial system, have all been accused of Masonic ties, whether through confirmed memberships, family alliances, or mutual affiliations with Masonic front organizations. Their names come up again and again in the web of power. In the early 1800s, anti-Masonic publications warned of an unseen hand manipulating economic collapses, funding both sides of wars, and dictating the rise and fall of empires, all while wearing the apron of the lodge. Coincidence? Look at the symbolism on the US dollar bill. The pyramid with the floating capstone and the all-seeing eye, Annuit Coptis, Novus Ordo Seclorum. He favors our undertakings, a new order of the ages. Not just poetic Latin. According to theorists like Epperson, these are references to the Illuminati's Masonic-inspired goal to build a secular, controlled global society under elite rule. What about central banking? The Federal Reserve, created in 1913, is not a government institution. It is a private banking cartel with sweeping power over the world's most influential currency. And it just so happens that many of its founders, including Paul Warburg and J.P. Morgan, had documented connections to secret societies. When financial institutions, governments, and secret orders converge under one symbolic roof, what are we really looking at? Look up. Look around. You've seen the symbols 1,000 times, but you never truly saw them. Obelisks in the heart of cities, domes echoing ancient mystery schools, twin pillars standing proudly at courthouses, statues holding compasses, squares, and torches. From Washington, D.C. to Paris, from the Vatican to the financial districts of London and Frankfurt, Masonic iconography marks the nerve centers of power. Coincidence or communication? Conspiracy researchers have long pointed out that the layout of Washington, D.C. itself is a ritual map, said to be designed by Freemason Pierre L'Enfant, laced with pentagrams, inverted crosses, and geometrical alignments pointing to ancient occult beliefs. The Capitol Dome, the Washington Monument, and the House of the Temple, allegedly the symbolic Third Temple of Solomon, all echo esoteric meanings hidden in ancient mystery religions. Even the Statue of Liberty, often assumed to be a symbol of freedom, was designed by French Freemason Frédéric Bartholdi. The torch she raises isn't just about illumination, it's the Luciferian light, the same flame held by the torchbearers of secret knowledge. On your dollar bill, the Eye of Providence floats above an unfinished pyramid. Most dismiss it as simply a design choice. But when you follow the history of the symbol, found in Masonic lodges, tracing boards, and occult manuscripts, it takes on a new, unsettling meaning. This isn't just art. Its architecture is revelation. It's the public face of a private order, shouting its presence to those with the eyes to see. Please subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Help us create this beautiful community. While the fraternity outwardly denies any global ambitions, there have always been those from within who whisper a different story. Some speak anonymously. Others, like William Morgan in the early 1800s, paid with their lives for attempting to reveal Masonic secrets. Morgan's disappearance after threatening to publish an expose on Freemasonry sparked one of the first major anti-Masonic movements in the United States. In more recent times, former members have come forward with disturbing claims that beyond the symbolic rituals lie deeper, darker oaths, some of which include allegiances to an unseen supreme architect, whose identity becomes more ambiguous with every degree, that certain lodges function as recruitment centers for influential networks tied to banking, law, and intelligence agencies, that the so-called Great Work is not spiritual enlightenment, but the establishment of a technocratic world order led by an elite inner circle. One anonymous ex-Mason claimed, "What you see in the Blue Lodge is theater. The true power is hidden behind degrees, handshakes, and blood oaths. You're not allowed to question, only to obey. You think you're ascending, but you're just becoming more useful to the machine." And perhaps most chillingly, there are those who allege connections between Freemasonry and ritualistic practices that echo ancient paganism. Ceremonies involving blindfolds, bondage, and initiatory deaths meant to strip the individual of identity and reshape them in the image of the order. Are these merely the ramblings of the disillusioned, or fragments of a truth too terrifying to speak aloud? The cornerstone of Masonic teaching is the Great Work. Publicly, this refers to the perfection of the soul through allegory, symbolism, and moral lessons. But alternative researchers suggest a far more literal and political interpretation: the construction of a new world order shaped and ruled by an enlightened elite. A. Ralph Epperson and others argue that Freemasonry is the ideological backbone of this global project, an invisible hand guiding governments, corporations, and media into alignment with an agenda spanning centuries. Sound far-fetched? Let's consider the timing. In the wake of every major global event, world wars, economic collapses, regime changes, there has emerged a call for unity, reconstruction, and global cooperation. And behind those calls, Masonic-linked figures, secretive roundtable groups, and think tanks with members tied to the lodge. The United Nations, founded with the input of several Freemasons and occultists. The European Union, its symbolism echoes ancient mystery traditions. The World Economic Forum, many of its leading voices have been photographed giving Masonic handshakes and symbols. And the phrase, "Build Back Better," used by world leaders from Biden to Johnson, resonates with the idea of controlled demolition, followed by the construction of a new edifice. But whose blueprint are they following? In Masonic rituals, the initiate is told to destroy the rough ashlar, the imperfect self, and become a perfect stone ready for the temple of the New Jerusalem. But in conspiracy circles, the translation is chilling: destroy the old world to build the new. A world governed not by the people, but by the architects behind the scenes. So here we are. An ancient order, cloaked in benevolence but whispered about in the corridors of power. Symbols on your currency, temples in your city, oaths behind closed doors, networks that span the globe, linked by ritual, allegiance, and an unshakable belief in a mission handed down through centuries. Some call them protectors of enlightenment, others the agents of darkness. What cannot be denied is their influence: presidents, prime ministers, judges, bankers, entertainers, all with links, direct or peripheral, to the lodge. We are told to dismiss it, to look the other way, to chalk it up to coincidence. But coincidence has a funny way of repeating itself. As Albert Pike wrote in Morals and Dogma, Masonry is a search for light. That search leads us directly back, as you see, to the Kabbalah. But what kind of light? What truth lies behind the veil? Is it simply fraternity and charity? Or a far older plan, initiated in Babylon, encoded in Egypt, refined in the Renaissance, and now implemented through institutions we're told to trust? One thing is certain: the more you dig, the more you find, and those who dare to pull at the thread often vanish into silence, or are discredited beyond recognition. So ask yourself, is the world as it seems? Or is it a stage built by architects whose names you'll never know? And if this is only one piece of the puzzle, what else have they hidden? The symbols, the secrecy, the silence. It all began long before the modern age. If you really want to understand the roots of Freemasonry's hidden agenda, you have to go back to the Crusades, to an elite brotherhood who claimed to serve Christ, but whom many suspected of darker allegiances. Who were the Knights Templar, guardians of the holy relics, or the original architects of the secret order? They vanished from history, but did they really disappear? To go deeper into the origins of the world's most mysterious brotherhood, watch this: the Knights Templar, soldiers of Christ or of the devil. Because to understand the present, you must first expose the past.